You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening. You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
Good morning, everybody. This is Joe Gavalis with the Safe Senior Hour, and I appreciate you all listening today. We're going to have a very informative show, and I'm sure everybody is out there. I hope you're all safe and healthy. Today we're going to talk about frauds, particularly frauds and scams that deal with the coronavirus, which are affecting everybody around the country. And then later in our show, a guest that we've had on before, Melanie McNeil, who was the former national director of the National Long-Term Ombudsman Association, past president. She's now the head of the state of Georgia Ombudsman. We're going to be discussing issues about nursing homes, and if people have been reading any articles or have been dealing with any news programs. I was just looking at a article online here from the USA Today, and they address the issue on long-term, talking about the virus situation and long-term care homes, and they advised that there were 2 million Americans live in long-term care settings. This is from the USA Today article I'm reading off the internet. Long-term care settings in approximately 15,600 federally regulated nursing homes and 28,900 assisted living facilities, and that's according to the CDC. But they went on and said, which I was just shocked about, the number of people who they report have died in the nursing homes, and it was some huge amount, like a lot bigger than what we've been reported here. The headline says 16,000 dead from COVID in U.S. nursing homes. Now, I think there's some other statistics that will differ, but whatever it is, as we all say, one death is one too many. So this kind of concerns us and should concern all in the community. And then on the other side, I was with two individuals this weekend who told me that, two women I was talking to, that they just feel so helpless. Their loved ones are in these facilities. The facilities are all locked down. They haven't seen their loved ones in 7-8 weeks. I think that's about it, 9 weeks. And they're getting little or no information. I was just talking to a gentleman who feels very, very good that where his dad is, that they are sending out weekly notices to him about how everything is, what's going on. And he said he was able to Skype occasionally with his dad. But don't forget, these are people, our loved ones that are in these residents that, nobody can get to them because they have to keep them locked down. And in this case, it was not assisted living, but not a nursing home. I think it's a personal care type home where they keep them locked in, and they give them their meals, and it's all for the protection of the residents of these long-term care homes, whatever they be, whether they be assisted living, nursing homes, or personal care homes. So we're gonna hear from her and just get some other ideas, things that everybody needs to be aware of, both for protection for your loved ones, what's going on in these long-term care homes, but things that you can do to help your concerns. And I know everybody's experienced this because all these nursing homes and long-term care homes are locked down. Or I always say the majority. I can't say all, but they should be in order to protect the our loved ones and people that are in these type of facilities. The article that I talked about, again, you can find it on the internet, but it's the USA Today, and we can talk about, and we have spoken about, better training, better staffing, and all this goes to concerns, and then all of a sudden the virus hit, and these concerns just are amplified by the issue, you know. Now, the data that the 16,000 also includes not just residents but staffs, and we have to remember, and we do this, we say this on all our shows. We want to really give a big thanks out to the staffs, our healthcare providers, the staffs at not only the nursing homes but these long-term care homes, but the hospital, the doctor staffs. But it can just go down the list. The people who are like people who deliver food, people who work in the grocery stores and the pharmacies, the delivery people that are delivering. There are people out there working every day, and we need to thank them. We appreciate it because, you know, they have families also, and they have to get up and go out and interact in the community, and we certainly appreciate it. Just like our first responders, you know, they're the ones that go in every day. They get up, and before, you know, having been a retired federal agent, I have an idea what it's like when you get out and you get up and go out in the morning and you don't know what you're going to encounter. Obviously, I'm not equating that to like what a uniformed police officer or sheriff has to do. But, you know, that was you dealing with criminals or somebody that could confront you. Here you're dealing with this silent deal called the coronavirus. And, you know, people, they want to come home to their loved ones. So my hat's off to them, the firefighters, the EMTs, the law enforcement people that are out there, and everybody who supports them. It's a big issue, and it affects everybody, you know, throughout the country, and we look at it. And I thought it was interesting that well, I think it's up in either New York or New Jersey, where they're actually shutting down the subways at night so they can disinfect the subway cars, which I'm surprised it might have taken this long to do it. But if anybody's ever had the fortunate, or I could say, you know, opportunity to ride a subway, you can understand what that's like. And that's how they move people in these major cities. I know here in Atlanta we have what's called MARTA, and I know they go through and the best they can to disinfect the cars and the handles. But if you've been paying attention, you know, this virus can stay on surfaces. So we need to be we need to be concerned about that, and that's why I thought that was a good move to disinfect the subway cars, shut it down for several hours, and it sounds like they have a plan to address that. But I think that as we look at this issue, this virus affects a lot of people in a lot of ways, and we clearly need to think about our health and safety. But unfortunately, we have unscrupulous people out there who when they see a situation like this, they want to go ahead and take advantage of people through the development of frauds or scams. And we've tried to address it. But today we're going to talk about frauds and scams, but go a little bit more about how they relate to the coronavirus. And I'm going to read some headlines, because it's not just a United States problem. And I know our listeners are all over the world, all over the United States, and obviously all over the world. But this is affecting, I think I heard, 184 countries. So it's it's a worldwide problem, obviously, but it affects everybody. And unfortunately, these scam artists and fraudsters are all over the world, and they will try to take every chance they have to perpetuate a scam or a fraud. And some of the headlines, and this comes from, and I quote it all the time, but I think you all should sign up if you have any interest of keeping track. It's like, I think it's a weekly newsletter, but it's called the Baker Fraud Report. And you can go on, just go on the internet and Google it, or however you hunt it, and Baker Fraud Report. And as he says, news you can use. I'm reading the April 30th, 2020. You can sign up to get these reports, so it comes directly to you. But Steve Baker, who does this, has been a guest. He's a wonderful, a retired federal investigator from the Federal Trade Commission. He now works for providing consulting for the Better Business Bureau. He's out of the Midwest. But his fraud report is just a wonderful tool for people to look at. And it's just full of great information. So I'm looking at the April 30th, 2021. And the top stories he talks about are the coronavirus and the mask. You know, everybody's been told to wear a mask. You have masks. I have my mask. I've got gloves. We're practicing social distancing here in the studio, so you don't see me with a mask on right now. But masks are important. And here's some headlines. In San Francisco, a Michigan man was arrested and charged for selling N95 masks online he never delivered. Now, a lot of people, since they're home, go online to look. And this is a notice from the U.S. Attorney's Office from the Northern District of California. And the headlines there were, defendant allegedly ran website that fraudulently sold but failed to deliver N95 masks to customers. They talk about here that how the federal government will pursue this. According to the complaint, the defendant of Muskegon, Michigan, controlled EM General, a Michigan liability company created in September 2019. EM General operated a website to purport to sell available inventory of antiviral N95 respirator masks. An N95 respirator mask is a particularly particulate filtering face piece respirator that meets the U.S. National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health N95 standards for air filtration. They cover your nose and mouth, and it is a wonderful mask. And for the people who are looking, that we see it. These are kind of what it looks like, or a variation of. This is an N95 approved mask, and these are what people were looking for, especially healthcare workers and people like that, law enforcement or anybody. The complaint alleged that EM General, which is the company this gentleman found, through its website falsely claimed to have N95 respirator masks in stock and available for sale and shipment during the shortage caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Based on these and other representations, customers bought masks from the website, sometimes paying the EM General more than $40 or more per mask. Wow. The defendant is alleged to have taken several steps to fraudulently appear to be a legitimate company. They invented a fictional chief executive officer. So this is just one form, the way the fraudsters operate, and we'll go into for some more as we'll come back in our next segment of the Safe Senior Hour.
And before we come back, I wanted to give kudos to the Dawson County Sheriff's Department, and particularly the Dawson County Sheriff. They were called for a wellness check, and they performed fantastically, and I'm very appreciative of it, and would like to just give a shout out. And actually, it happened to be the sheriff that showed up, and just wanted to give a shout out and a thank you to the Dawson County, Georgia Sheriff and Sheriff's Department for their help and certainly cooperation and notifying us, and they are super, and we thank them. So with that being said, we'll be back with more of Safe Senior Hour after this.
Want to give your family or loved one the perfect gift? Then go online and check out the TornadoBodyDryer.com. I love mine and the warm heat air massage it gives me after my shower. The Tornado Body Dryer is super. You'll love it, and you'll love having one in your shower.
Season's greetings. I'm Patty Levan, owner of Multiline Mortgage Services, Inc. Let's talk about reverse mortgages for seniors 62 and older. Reverse mortgages free up money that seniors can use at their discretion in retirement. Let us help you determine if this program is right for you. We'll help you choose the right lender and walk you through the loan process. Multiline Mortgage Services, your way home. Call us at 941-201-9111 or check out our website at multilinemortgage.com. Company founded by Joseph D. Powers, NMLS 158989, licensed in Georgia and Florida.
If your health insurance premium is more than your mortgage, Ellen Deal with Ideal Solutions is here to help. Whether you're a small business owner, individual, family, or baby boomer, email maga45cag@gmail.com and I'll respond with 3 easy questions to help you determine if you can get away from Obamacare. As a 20-year veteran of the insurance industry, I'm here to help with all your insurance needs. Email Ellen Deal at maga45cag@gmail.com.
One other thing that I wanted to bring up, and I thought about it last night as I watched President Trump. I thought President Trump did an outstanding job, didn't dodge any questions, wasn't playing any games, told it like it is, and, we got a problem, and like he said, he's discussed it with his son and obviously the First Lady, and I thought all in all, and I had a conference call with a number of other folks right after his interview, and I thought, and we all concurred that, and we're not, we had a couple of Democrats on the line, but they also thought that it seems as though in many areas that folks think, we got the right person in the right place right now. And had it been somebody else doing this, I don't think they could have held up. And as one of my good friends that knows President Trump, he's like the bunny energizer. He never stops. He's working all the time for his country and his people. And I think he made that quite clear last night. And I just, again, want to give kudos to the president, thank him, and I think everybody should pray for the president and his good health, and that we should appreciate what he's done and what he's doing. And, he points out, as we all know, he was the one that stopped travel to China, and God knows how many lives he saved by stopping China or travel from China into the United States. So kudos go out, and America's Web Radio supports Donald J. Trump for re-election, and frankly, I don't care who knows it. We'll be back right after this.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
Well, welcome back to the second segment of the Safe Senior Hour, and I think you all heard David just give his comments about the president last night, which I certainly concur. But I think what everybody's got to remember, and they say it all the time, the virus doesn't care whether you're what race, sex, political party you're in. It affects all of us. And that's why we all have to work together and beat this, as he calls it, the plague. But it's just horrible. And again, when you hear it's in 84 countries, it's mind-boggling. And I hope he's right. He was hoping that we could get a vaccine. Everybody's hoping that it could take place, but we got to fight it now and get this country back on its feet. And I personally think we're going to come back stronger than we were. I think this is really a test to, as we say, the American way, the American culture, and I think we'll come back. I'm going to go back now and just talk about some of the scams that these criminals have used against the citizens here, trying to take advantage of this coronavirus pandemic. And I just talked to you about somebody selling false N95 masks. And now here's an article that comes out of New York, where out of a TV station in New York, Brooklyn man accused of stealing stimulus checks out of the mailboxes. If you've paid attention to us, we've been telling people, be leery of this. Be leery of scams dealing with it. People see a lot of money being sent out there, and most of it, I hope, were in a direct deposit to your bank account. That's pretty hard. Then they have to con you. In this case, when they sent stimulus checks, they were hard copies, and they were in the mailbox. And the complaint made, this was against a 31-year-old Brooklyn man accused of stealing at least 9 stimulus checks along with credit cards and other checks out of mailboxes of homes and apartment buildings in a section of Brooklyn, New York. But according to the complaint and statements made in court, police officers saw the defendant look into a medical collection bin at closed medical offices in the morning on April 28th. He then walked to a nearby residence to examine the mail there before walking into the gated area of another apartment building. He appeared to be carrying mail when he left, which he tossed on the sidewalk when he saw the police. The officers saw a large bulge in the defendant's pocket and searched him, allegedly finding stimulus checks worth more than $12,000, along with stolen credit cards, bank checks, open envelopes, and letters with various names and addresses to believe been taken from the mailbox. So I thought that was good. This was an initiative taken by the NYPD and postal inspectors, and they worked together. And this is what needs to be done, and it is being done throughout this country, that you have local, state, and federal law enforcement working together to help, stop some of these perpetrators from continuing. Let's see here. As we go down the report here, let's see here. That in India, apparently Ponzi schemes are a famous scheme where you pay off today, you promise people today, but you're paying with money yet to come in. In New Delhi, the world battles, the fraudsters are minting easy money with numerous blessings. Loom scams where gullible people are being lured with the promise of at least 8-fold returns if they pay to enter certain online groups in good faith or for counting their blessings. This is another scam that somebody has thought of, and at the peak of this crisis has left many people jobless and a lot others within the confines of their homes or work from home. The lure of making some quick bucks have made a large number of people vulnerable to online frauds and complaints, that have started pouring in with the Indian authorities as well about getting enticed to such scams, which are like age-old pyramid or Ponzi schemes, recycled with a blessing twist. So there's an example that has happened in India. And again, we stress this. This is happening all over the world here. We have a, let's see, we already have here, this is a case coming out of Detroit, Michigan here in the U.S., where a doctor who pushed vitamin treatment let's see, a 47-page complaint.
I told him about eBay.
Well, I'm sorry, that's the computer here.
Travel, clothes. Now that it's called racketing, he's acting like he discovered it. Have you tried it? Yeah.
I don't know how. Let me try to get out of this here.
Sign up today and get cash back on everything you buy.
Are surging while marriages go digital. This is your daily radio.com coronavirus update. I'm Linda Lopez.
Okay.
Scary statistics are coming out
I'm trying to get this out of here. So
the nation documented record high coronavirus case.
Okay. Sorry about that. I was there, but I was talking about criminal charges against a doctor that billed Medicaid for vitamins he prescribed as the virus treatment.
Is that over your computer?
Yeah, it just stopped. Yeah, it was on. I was pulling it up. Yes. So that just shows you that people at all levels are out trying to perpetrate these scams here. In the United Kingdom, warns that scammers are setting up fake national health websites to scam people worried about COVID-19. Again, this is the importance of showing that this is worldwide, and that these fraudsters in the UK are targeting people who are searching for information, like a lot of people are on the computer, about COVID-19, with personal details being stolen from the unassuming victims, to keep an eye out for the scam and only deal with reputable sources and government websites that you know are actually real and that you have hunted and found here. So it's again, if there's a will, there's a way on these people all over. In Pakistan, 3 Nigerians were arrested for online fraud, dealing with for defrauding people concerning with scams dealing with the virus. So it happens everywhere. And so I think our message is, if it's too good to be true, it isn't true. Remember that. So with that, we've covered some of the frauds. Hopefully we've got some other ones we can talk about. But everybody, be aware out there and be alert. With that, we'll end this section of the segment of the Safe Senior Hour with Joe Gavalis.
Get your pen and paper ready. If there's a move in your near future, I'm here to tell you that the folks I used and now recommend is Around Town Movers. Timothy and the guys recently moved me, and I am and was totally satisfied with a sometimes not so fun experience moving. Call Timothy at 770-378-4708 and make it a good move and a good experience. Around Town Movers for that local or cross-country move. Timothy, Around Town Movers, in my opinion, are the best. That's Around Town Movers. Call them.
The Docs for Patient Care Foundation is your way to join the fight and become a member of an organization created by doctors for patients, dedicated to fighting for your healthcare freedom and preserving the doctor-patient relationship. Get a pen and paper. Write down docs4patientcarefoundation.org. That's DOCS, the number 4, patientcarefoundation.org. Go to our site and please make a generous tax-deductible donation and join the fight today. Thank you.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
Well, welcome back to the third segment of the Safe Senior Hour with Joe Gavalis. Remember that elder abuse doesn't report itself, and we talk about elder abuse as physical, financial, and institutional. And today we're kind of focusing on two topics, all kind of related to the coronavirus situation that's affecting not only the United States but the whole world. And we've just been going over some of the frauds and scams that are going on. And with more people at home, not working, and being on the internet, the scammers are having a field day, the fraudsters. And we're seeing more and more of people being surfing the internet and looking for things to occupy themselves or for deals, and the scams that we see normally that happen, we're starting to see more and more of. For example, romance scams that are taking place. People have a lot of time on their hands, and they're sitting there and they're listening, and they're trying to find out, well, maybe I can find something interesting here. Oh, this looks interesting. Maybe I'll answer this. It'll be on a Facebook or something like that. So it's a time that the perpetrators look at and say, oh my God, I think I have it. This is like a field day for us, because they're not out there trying to do the right thing. They're out there to get your money and try to take advantage of you or anybody else that they know concerning that. Actually, we've done this before, and I'm going to reiterate it again. I just saw another website that these are the romance scam scripts. And remember, romance scams are people it's one of the few scams where they don't want you to do something immediately. What they want you to do is gain your favor, gain your respect, gain your love. They go through all these things that they think is very important. And they'll give themselves, 4 to 7 weeks, 8 weeks in order to do that. So they're not rushing you to do anything, but they wanted to bring you in and to realize that you become a part of them. And the scripts are given out to people who are on these phone banks that just sit in these rooms, and they have telephones and computers, and they just sit there and they call all these people where they get these lists. And the lists might come from dating sites. They might come from Facebook issues. There's all sorts of places. And they check. And the scripts are and the people who might have been victims already, you'll listen to some of these things I'm about to read, and you'll say, boy, that happened to me. I was talking to a gentleman who got picked up, and he said these are some of the words they exactly used to him. So these scripts are used by scammers to perpetrate catfishing and romance frauds. Catfishing is just the way you go out and try to get people, better term, sucked in and bring them on board here. And these scripts were cited as evidence in the trial of a gentleman who was sentenced to 27 years in prison for mail fraud, wire fraud, conspiracy, and interstate extortion. And the script goes like this. And they go formats 1 through 5, and there's a whole bunch of them. But 1 through 5, they're telling the perpetrator, okay, are to be used on the dating site. And they say, one, if you are the first to email her, this is obviously for, well, it doesn't have to be a male, for who the victim believes is a male. These are some of the lines that you should be using. Wow, you spark up my entire thinking facility. I am ready to stop searching, and who knows, the rose in my heart could be yours. And then they tell you to laugh out loud. Drop a note and email address, and I'll reply instantly. Just, you may wish to email me too. My email is da-da-da-da-da-da. And then say, you're on my mind, and they say just make up a name. In this case, it was Ben. But if you see that the person has a lovely profile but has no pictures, the perpetrators are told to honestly, to use this line. Honestly, you have a very lovely profile, and I wish I could just see your picture. There is this feeling that tells me you are as beautiful as your profile. Though what matters is the internal beauty, but I would still like to see your picture. Kindly send me one to my Gmail account at, I'm interested in getting to know more about you. Cheers, Ben. Okay, 3, if she sends you a wink or email first, send this. And put on your subject, hello, my 101% match. Hey, how are you doing today? Wow, was the first thing I said when I went through your picture profile. She didn't send a picture of the profile. I wonder why a woman like you is still single. Perhaps all the men around you are blind and you're to laugh out loud. I think we are probably looking for real stuff on here. We can hook up and hopefully be wonderful soulmates. A little about myself. It's no doubt I am a very nice man, and when people meet me, they sense it before long. I love epic movies because I love adventure stories of the ancient times and anything related to real life stories. Family is what I cherish more in life because family is that holds the present and the future generations to come. Blood is certainly thicker than water. I love family a lot. The wise saying that if you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. By all means, keep moving. Seems the best saying in my world, and that's why I never look back. Well, the only thing lagging in my life now is that lovely woman that will follow me to my dreamland. I believe only those who seek her finds, and that is why I want to get to know you. I prefer direct mail because I don't want to come on this site all the time. Kindly email me on my Yahoo account, your email address. Sometimes we are dumbfounded to find answers, love-related matters, because love is beyond human thinking. It's a natural thing from God himself. Hope to hear from you, Ben. Well, there's an example. What I read is somebody sitting there who is reading a script, and you can imagine what some people are listening to when they hear this. They're a heck of an actor, and they sit there, and somebody sees this or reads it when it's typed out. At this point, we're sending emails or they're going through a dating service deal, or they're going through a Facebook posting. Well, a lot of times the person will answer and say, well, what about the distance? Well, like, where are you and how far are you away from where I live? That's what the victim says. Well, I do believe it's too early to discuss distance because wherever I find my love is where I would live for the rest of my life. If you find a wicked love close to you and a true love far away, I bet you would wait for the true love to come rather than go for the close wicked love that will end up hurting your feelings. True love knows no bounds, distance, nor limit. It doesn't need a map either because it will always find its way. There's something in me that wants to continue with you and your information. This is my time on the dating site in my whole life, my first time on the dating site. We should get to know each other and see where life leads. I am mature enough and I know what I want in life. I mean, I'm looking for a relationship that would be my last to my dying days. I got a million words to say to you, but I would prefer a better communications via personal emails, as I wouldn't like to come on a dating site all the time. I am a one-woman man, so I'd rather get going with you alone. Looking forward to your response. Cheers. Forget, I'm reading a script that this person reads to, hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, by their organized group. And that's what they are. They're organized criminals that perpetrate these scams. And that's what they're looking for. They're looking to do that. And it's so sad. It's so sad, but people listen to it and they, or read it and they believe it. And so they come back, well, what if somebody replies, and again, I'm reading from the script, but is unwilling to release her email? So they have an answer for that. They say, hi, your quick response has really made my day, and I'm so happy about it. Each time I log on this site, I see over 10 new women winking, but I really don't like, because I'm a one-woman man. I hate cheats. I've never done that in my whole days of living. Please, if you can help me stop coming to this site, I would so much appreciate. I've got a million words to say to you, but not any more on this site. Kindly email me at my Gmail account or give me your email. Looking forward to hearing from you. Well, they have an answer. She still doesn't give her email. And so they say, I'm just skipping down here. Phone is good, but email is better because email has a reference while phone does not. When you read messages, you can go back there any time in the future and read it all over again. But phone calls allow words to disappear into the air. Don't get me wrong. I would love to hear from your voice, but I think it's better we start this way, looking forward. They go down to the next item. When the email starts, once you have her email, make sure this is the first thing you send to her. But if she emails you to your personal email first, proceed to the Facebook topic. Ben from our time. Hi, Angel. I'm so excited to read from you so soon. Remember, this is your response to her email. Please confirm you received this message so I could send more about me. I'm looking for my second half, a woman to spend the remaining seconds of my life with. Waiting to hear from you. Smiles. Ben, please keep in touch. Cheers. I'm so happy to read from you, most importantly to know we are both looking for the same thing. Where do I start? And this goes on and on and on about talking to this victim who has now given up her emails to this gentleman who she knows is Ben. And Ben could be a she, could be several people who are answering these things. So it goes on. The script is just pages after pages. So now it gets back to the interesting point. It says, hello, wonderful angel. I really appreciate this consistent communication, and I would say it with a sign of will. And I tell you, wherever there's a will, there's a win. I appreciate every word in your response. Thank you so much for your condolences. Life is full of miseries and ironies. That's the most important thing, our willingness to stand. I believe we both know love is not a destination, but a journey. And this is a journey that takes two. And goes on. I really need to see your face, not the beauty part, but the depth of your soul. As I could remember as a kid, I was a very cute one. Laugh out loud, but whom many bullies would target, but only to realize there is a tough side of me. And he goes on and on. It's all about a picture. He's trying to get a picture from you. So be careful. And again, he ends it. Look forwarding to your email. Still smiling, Ben. And then they go into from another email about how busy you are, and writing to this woman. And this is from Ben. You already make me feel like the luckiest man on earth. I will write you again first thing when I'm free, because I'll be thinking of you. My dream is to travel to all the beautiful places and see the wonders in the world with my woman. I can't wait to be on the London Eye side by side with my woman, to be in Paris, to see my mother and all its beauty in the gorgeous Sydney, Australia, in the beautiful Bahamas once again, in Dubai. Meeting you and hopefully starting a new life with you is the surest thing. Just be patient. I will be retired in only a few weeks. Again, sending smiles, Ben. Again, we all have to remember we're just reading. We're reading scripts. There is no meaning. There's no deep love. There's nothing in here. This is what it happens. This is how bad it is. So please, please be careful if you're out there and you people are in an internet relationship. Please be careful, because there are people out there looking to try to con you, and their goal is to get your money. So, I don't know what more to say. It's we'll go on because they have even more choices here. And, this is sad. So we'll go out. We'll be taking a break from our third segment here of the Safe Senior Hour, and we'll be coming back, and hopefully we'll be going back to talking more about, what's happening with this coronavirus issues, and dealing with not just frauds anymore, but dealing with issues about long-term care with our guest who will be on the line when we have our break here. So with that, I will close our segment, and we'll be back shortly. Oh, okay. So we're gonna just move right in to our segment with Melanie. Are you on? Melanie?
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Melanie.
I hear you.
Yep, good. Can you hear me now? Is that good? How's that?
Well, let me just jump in. I hope your listeners can hear me.
Yep.
I know we were talking earlier this morning about what residents and families can do if there isn't enough staff, or even what staff can do if staff get a call. I mean, if staff are in the building. And in that one instance you described, Joe, there was only one CNA in the building.
Correct.
First of all, you can call the Ombudsman Program. So in any state, you can call your Ombudsman Program. And again, to find that, if you'll go to www.nasop.org, you can find a way to find your state ombudsman. Call your state ombudsman's office. Let them know that there isn't staff. The ombudsman then in the field would call the facility and talk to the administrator. And sometimes our ombudsman representatives can even call administrators after hours. So they have the ability in some cases to do that and find out, what's actually happening, and do they need help, and what are they doing to get help. But anyone can also call their licensing and certification division in their state. And so when you call your ombudsman, the ombudsman can tell you who that is. In Georgia, if that happens in Georgia, you can call the Healthcare Facility Regulation Division of the Department of Community Health, and they similarly have the ability to get a hold of the administrative staff, find out what's happening, and help the facility then figure out, what can they do to get staff there right away. One of the things we noticed is for those facilities in Georgia that have had 10 or more deaths in the buildings, frequently they've had lots of staff sick. And so if they're not coming to work because they're sick, which they should not be coming to work, of course that leads to a problem of not having enough staff. And so, unfortunately, with this pandemic, I don't think we've ever had anything quite like this where we just don't even have enough staff, and so we're calling in folks that wouldn't ordinarily be working in nursing homes or other long-term care facilities because we're doing the best we can. But absolutely should be reported because resident safety is of utmost importance, and you can't keep residents safe if you don't have the staff to do it.
No, I concur. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, good. I mean, one of the cases we're looking at is they have 89 people as a resident. 26 have shown positive. These are from the state of Georgia publications that they're putting out basically daily. And I think every state should be doing this around the country. I'm not sure if they do, but I'm sure somewhere somebody's applying it. But in this residence, this long-term resident location, there were 89 residents, 26 residents were positive, but 22 staff people were positive, and they've already had 15 deaths. I don't know what the report today will show. That is kind of sad, and that was one of the locations where they had issues with staffing, just like Melanie said. And just to give Melanie Melanie is the state of Georgia long-term care ombudsman, and she was a past president of her association. So she's very familiar with issues that are happening all around the country, and obviously particularly Georgia. So I thank you, Melanie, for coming on. I know you've been a guest, and I know people are very concerned about their loved ones. And I started the show by saying I talked to two women who had not seen their loved ones in a long-term care home for, I think, 9 weeks. So any suggestions on how they can interact, or what's your thought about trying to, they're concerned about their loved ones?
Sure. Well, and let me just follow up one other thing. When you mentioned that some states may not be reporting, and I think that's true up until now, some states haven't been reporting, but the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services put out a directive last week that nursing homes, at least the nursing homes, are supposed to be reporting to their to a state official, but also to residents and families. And so there should be more information available across the country pretty soon. But as far as communicating with loved ones, some facilities have taken a very restrictive position about whether families can even come to the building and look through the windows. But that should be available because CMS originally said to facilities, yes, you can keep visitors out, but you must help residents stay in communication with their loved ones, their friends, whomever, with the outside world. And so across the country, call your ombudsman. If as a family or as a friend of a resident, someone who's concerned about residents, the ombudsman representative can help do the advocacy with the facility to at least let you come to the premises and see your loved one through a window, whether it's the window of the room where they live or whether it's a different window in the facility. I know one facility here in Georgia had a room that wasn't being used, and they've designated it for a visit room. So you could go, a resident can go to that room, just that one resident, go to that room, look out the window, see their loved one. Of course, you'd want to arrange, times, which I think across the country, you'll want to see if you can arrange a time to go visit with your loved one if they don't have easy access to a window. But you should be able to have conversation with your loved one that's in a facility. And so, reach out to your ombudsman for sure, because they should be able to help facilitate that interaction.
Right. I think it's an interesting point. I started the show off reading from an article of U.S. News and World Report where, and again, I said the statistics are different, and I know people are, and they're constantly changing, but they reported, I believe, 16,000 deaths of not only residents, but residents and staff at these long-term care homes or maybe nursing homes. And that is just mind-boggling. And so we all need to work together, and that's why your loved ones are being sheltered in place, to say a better word. I don't know. It's for their protection and protection of other people in the facility and your protection. I think that's pretty much why, I mean, isn't it? I think they're pretty much, that's the only way they can control it in these long-term care things is basically shut it down, right?
Right. Well, and especially because we have had a lack of personal protective equipment. And so so the listeners might be thinking, well, in other times you can visit people who have, difficult illnesses or contagious illnesses, but you can still visit with them. That's when we have, personal protective equipment.
Right.
But there's a shortage, and so that's another reason that in trying to protect the residents and the staff and also protect each of us who might want to visit, that's the reason to not allow the in-person visits right now, because we don't have enough personal protective equipment to assure our safety, everybody's safety.
I think people have to be reminded, and I constantly am, and again, I can't thank you enough, you and your associates, for coming on the show, is that the Ombudsman, the long-term care Ombudsman program, which is in every state, these are there to assist you, your families, and the loved ones that are dealing in these long-term care facilities, and they are there as an advocate. They're not there. They're not law enforcement. They're not regulatory people. They're there to help you. And if you want help, they can find it. Is that a fair representation?
Yes. We're there to try and help. We can't solve all the problems. Nobody can solve all the problems, but our Ombudsman representative have lots of resources that you might not think are available. You might not know about them, and so Ombudsman representatives are there to advocate on behalf of the residents and do what we can to, during this really difficult time, trying to make sure that residents have access to their families, and families similarly, have a chance to talk to their loved one.
And let's emphasize again, if we could, Melanie, that these are basically confidential conversations with the people you're talking to, unless they allow you to pass this on formally. Isn't that correct? Is that
right,
a fair representation? So it's somebody you can talk to, and without have to worry about, well, I'm going to be on a report somewhere, and somebody, at least, you might want to report it. They might say this is the best way to do it, and you might agree. But please use the facilities of the Ombudsman. I think you have such a wonderful program, and I hope people, and it's not just the people in the residence, it's their families, right?
Right now, we're doing what we can to help families. Our focus is on residents, but to the extent that we're all somewhat in the dark, families should be calling and asking if we can provide assistance, and we will to the extent that we can. If the resident will allow us, we will absolutely do what we can to help.
Well, I can't thank you enough. We're about to end this the show for today, but hopefully to have you back on. I hope we can address this virus. And with that, Melanie, thank you for coming on. And again, to our listeners, we'll be back on next Monday at 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock with the Safe Senior Hour with Joe Gavalis. You all stay safe and healthy.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
Want to give your family or loved one the perfect